George. I think a lot of people are losing trust in you. So today we're going to be talking about George, some possible secrets that George is actually hiding, and some really cool theories on this story as well, and also some characters too. Also, if you can, drop the video like and share it. It is much appreciated and shows your support for the channel. Let's know that you guys enjoy the Roblox Piggy videos and predictions. Also, if you want to show your further support, you can always use star code BIGB2 when purchasing Robux. But with that being said, let's get into our mystery thoughts on George. So I think we will go into a turning of events, and if it goes this route, then it could be quite scary due to the fact that George was the one person we had a lot of sympathy for, and now it's almost like a lot of people are saying that George is evil, especially you guys in the comments as well. Like, a lot of you do not trust George, and it's also making me like not trust George either. And also, I think this distorted memory map, which again is just a dream, did kind of throw people off a lot too. So let's talk about George, why we think George could possibly be evil. And again, I'm going to be reading off some of your theories about George as well. And there's also some characters I want to talk about. So let's for a second think that which we've thought about before, that, you know, this Piggy, you know, series that we're in now is not technically real, that we're in a dream for the most part. But I did find it funny that George, so if we look at two characters, there's actually two, and the distorted memory map showed us this. So remember the two toys that you have to put in the coffin, like in the distorted memory map? We have the dinosaur and the robot. Now, who do those actually remind you of as potential characters? And I believe Minitoon did say something at some point that each character does kind of have like a backstory to them. And these characters would be, if they were characters, which I feel like they are, and again, these are George's toys, they remind you of Dino Piggy and Roby. So look at that. That's kind of interesting, right? So you have the robot and the Dino Piggy, which also would make me think that that's kind of steering to where maybe George is somewhat behind this and has something to do with it. Or let's say that someone is actually doing this stuff to get back at George, making these monsters to kind of cater towards George. But it's just very interesting because, again, George could be working with Mr. P and be behind everything too. And again, that map just threw us off, so we don't really know if we can trust George that well, especially due to the fact that he left the sisters too, saying that he went to play hide and seek. So could be that George turns out to be evil and is actually, but do you think that George is making these, like, infected or creating these monsters? At least, like, who would have created Roby? We know Roby does have some, like, connection to the Mr. P, that cyborg, so someone is behind this. Again, I still think there is like a mastermind behind all of this, which would possibly be TSP whenever we figure out who TSP or what TSP actually is, and is behind, you know, causing everything to be happening. Again, that theory that I did have, that, you know, let's say that everyone's being replaced by robots, so they drink a potion but then they're not actually them, they're being replaced by robots, which is why they can't talk. That was also a really good theory. I'm still kind of sticking by that just a little bit, but I don't think that's too far-fetched, but I do really like that theory a lot. But what I want to do is I want to talk about your theories about George, and then we can have a discussion down below in the comments on what we think will happen in chapter 12. We already got some things revealed in chapter 12, like the map, which looks like it's going to be in a lab or facility. Definitely the place that takes place after you beat chapter 11. So I'm really looking forward to this. Again, we're getting close up to the end of the series, and who knows, it will possibly end on a cliffhanger. I don't think Minitoon is going to end it at all completely, and we're not going to get like a happy ending. I think it's either going to just stop, and then he'll probably pick up again at some point. But with that being said, I'm also gonna put a poll in this video now, and I want to ask you, do you trust George? Yes or no? But let's get ready to roll into some of your theories and see what you think about George in chapter 12 in general. So this first theory was by Yona Lu, and they said, theory, the thing that gives you the white key needs a dinosaur and robot, right? So what if Mr. P got them and turned them into monsters? We see Dino Piggy and Roby. What if that's a thing too? What if Mr. P is actually taking these toys, you know, and just turning them into robots? That's also really not a bad thought at all. Tresella Dream says, my theory is that Mr. P said that we are dead. I think Mrs. P told Mr. P we were dead because she was spying on us in chapter 9. Maybe Mr. P is good and he could have had the cure for a long time, and when he tries it out, it infected them. TSP maybe equals the secret piggy. I guess we'll find out in chapter 12, and we also saw Mrs. P in the background of chapter 8. Roby's George's toy robot. How can robots be infected? Interesting. I don't know, but what if Mr. P tried making a robot assistant to help Mrs. P? And we'll know in chapter 12, what if Mrs. P decided to put things into the cure, then turn into some infection potion thing? 1 like equals who's excited for chapter 12. Have a great day, y'all. That's also quite an interesting theory as well. Like, I really hope we get, some more clarity into Mrs. P, or maybe we'll see Mrs. P in chapter 12. That is one mystery character that we really have not seen thus far. Florence Butcher says, hi, I love your videos. They are amazing. My theory is, also I appreciate that, buddy. George is evil and secretly infected, but he hides and Mr. P is good. But the person behind it all, who I think is Mrs. P, oh wow, you think Mrs. P is behind it all, has given George the power to talk. I think that Mrs. P gave Mr. P the potion that Bunny drank. Oh, that is what if Mrs. P is the one behind all this? That Gamer Pia says, theory, George got infected by his sister the night he went missing. He went to the city to tell his grandmother, but she looked scary, like everyone else, so he waited out behind the dumpster. That's when he saw you guys and ran to the mall. You guys find him, and that's where the next chapter comes, where you see Mr. P, and you guys follow him into the lab and talk about the cure, and he can't make it. He can't seem to make. So, wait, wow, maybe Mr. P can actually make this cure either. That's when George reveals the secret that he was infected by TSP, which is the sister Penny. But he didn't turn scary, which helps Mr. P because he's immune to the potion. Then maybe he can make a cure. He's gonna make a cure and cure himself, his wife, everyone else except the sister Penny. The boss fight will be against her because she doesn't want to be cured. You all win the fight and cure Penny. So are we thinking that Penny will actually turn out to be the boss? That's a very interesting theory too, that, being that this is the first time we really got this glimpse into Penny, this could possibly happen. JDude1000 says, TSP, the secret piggy. George is TSP because he is missing, so no one knew he was alive. Alexis Farah says, big boy theory, patient 0 is Penny. The 3 testers are secretly George, Mother, and Father Pig. Here's something. The first time we venture into the house, we see George. Where did this come from? Before the release date of chapter 5, the bot in the house was Little Brother. We go to the station and then head to the gallery. Sometime before chapter 6, Dr. Barry found the cure and used it on George. It partly worked, and then Barry was infected. I don't know if they really showed or talked about Barry though. Foxy, Doggy, and Sheepy are infected by Mr. P potions. Then we have a very close encounter with Penny. While we are in the hospital, Barry gets infected somehow by half-possessed Peppa, who is patient 0. Then she asks Mr. P for help and leaves with him to the helicopter. Then she starts deteriorating and becomes Zombie. Ooh. And she makes the helicopter crash due to the cyborg potato in chapter 11. We encounter her in the metro, and when she follows us to leave, you go straight to the outpost. Then she breaks out of the outpost and we encounter her again in the lab. Also, George cannot control the monster. To explain further, patient 0 potion worked horribly and made Penny go mad. If you have anything against my theory, comment. That's not really a bad theory. It could be a little bit far-fetched. I think there's definitely some bits in there that are quite believable, and again, nothing can be really wrong at this point. DNJ says, maybe TSP is the secret pig, which would be Polly. Or maybe George betrayed them. Theory 2, you're in a mental institution and they are playing Peppa Pig episodes over and over, which is making you go insane in your dreams. I'm leaning towards theory 2. Sabrina Jamma says, I think that Penny left George because she is the TSP, the sister pig, and she somehow gave George a potion. I think it was when she and her parents went to the hospital. The parents then turned infected and left the hospital. Penny knew something was wrong, so she made a deal with Mr. P Piggy, and she took the potion and went home. She put the potion inside some food until George and Mom and Dad went shopping or something, and then dropped off to check on him. He eats whatever food the potion was inside and goes to bed. Penny goes outside and barricades the door and goes outside the window. When George wakes up, it's a nightmare and tries to find Penny, seeing the house looking all weird, different, and scary. Memory Piggy is in George's head. But, well, when he finally leaves the house, he sees Penny and she runs off. He tries to run after her and she got infected another way. He has two different personalities. The infection didn't cover him completely. Penny goes away because she knows the infected and runs away. But George's infected side takes over him and he goes after Penny and infects her. She then guards the house. You come in and you try to find George. He has escaped after he turned back and Penny tries to attack him, and the rest goes as the story goes. That was very, very good. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's gonna wrap it up for the video. So I think the big question that we're leaving today is can we really trust George? Is George going to betray us in chapter 12? Do you think that these two robot characters, well, these two toys, are based off of something for George, like Dino Piggy and Roby? Or is that something to do with the backstory? I just find it funny that we get those two, and yeah, it's kind of related to George's toys. So let me know what you guys think about that one. But that's gonna wrap it up for the video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like and share it, and also feel free to subscribe for more. And if you're new, I'll be bringing you guys some more predictions this week, so be on the lookout for it before we get the chapter. And I'm really excited for it, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.